Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and today I want to talk to you about the Intercession squad that we just had revealed from the Warhammer Community website. Well, I'm like the last person to talk about it now and do an actual guide, but 2-3 days ago we had this drop. You know, when you're trying to look at rules for the first time, I just wanted to do it as news for my first thing. Now I'm ready. I sat down and had a Vantage Point podcast episode, that's my Kill Team podcast, with two of the best players in the world, Ace from Spain, who I'm sure you know about, and Matusz from Poland, who you might not know about because they don't go on BCP that much. However, two amazing players, and I sat down, hour and a half, we chatted about the entire team, front to back, and now I'm going to try and dissect that hour and a half and smash it into like 10 minutes. So I'm really going to power through here for you, and to prove how much I'm going to power through, I mean, obviously you've already seen how long this video is going to be. We're going to talk about this more, but if you just want to know your take all comers list, your I want 6 models, what do I do? Assault Intercessor Sergeant with Plasma, 2 Assault Intercessors, one's going to have a tilting shield, that's a piece of equipment, an Assault Intercessor Gunner, an Intercessor Gunner, they're different things, Grenadier, sorry, and then an Intercessor Gunner, an Intercessor Warrior with a bolt rifle and a scope and blessed rounds, and then Chapter Tactics, you're going to go Durable and Rapid, and the TAC Ops, you're going to use Seek and Destroy, and then the Faction TAC Op, Shock and Awe. There you go. You can turn off now. You know exactly what to do. If you're scrambling around, just about to go to your local GW and pick up some models, that's what you need. Also, we're going to have a little hobby chat at the end about how you can find this all in a one-box team sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Okay, and with that said, I would like to say, guys, the next slide is actually a subscriber-only benefit, so if you don't want that, go and check the timestamps below. That'd be great, thank you. But of course, if you are a subscriber to my channel, I'd like to give you a big double hello. Wow, so wholesome. Thank you so much for everybody for coming and watching this video. Hey, a like, subscribe, a comment, that would all be absolutely amazing for me. You have my eternal gratitude. If you really like what I'm doing here, consider checking me out on Patreon. Otherwise, I do have a Facebook channel, the Vantage Point podcast, as already mentioned. I do have a Discord server that is the largest Kill Team Discord server. I also have merch, as you can see me styling up there, and here, and here, many items to be bought. I also have a second channel called Full Scale Wargaming, where I talk about larger games. Anyway, let's get straight into it, guys. What is the Intercession Kill Team? Obviously, it is a mix from the compendium of the Assault Intercessors and the Intercessors. Now, this is pretty interesting because for a long time people felt that Assault Intercessors were pretty much the worst in the game. Well, good news, no longer the case. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I would say that in general, if you wanted to know what this team is, firstly, it's free. So there is a link in the description to where you can get the rules for these guys for free. That was given out by Warcom. They're great for beginners. You get a low cognitive load, which is good not only for beginners, I mean that's why it's good for beginners, but also for experienced players that just want to have a bit of fun, or people that are finding they want to push their tournament ranking and placements in tournaments, but they find that they can't quite get through the end of the day. They start strong and they start to lag towards the end. Well, these might be the ones for you in a similar way to Void Darts. You don't have to think too much. Also, if we're looking at power ratings, I think they're really strong. I think we're going to see a lot of these guys all over the shop, and we're going to see them everywhere. I don't be surprised if we start seeing this team placing first in tournaments. There's a lot of reasons that they will, but also it's just going to be sheer weight of numbers. I think we're going to see a lot of people playing these. Okay, let's get into the teams. First up, we have the Operatives. It's a 6-man team. You can make your sergeant, your leader, either assault or ranged. This is, unfortunately, not much of a question. Really, 90% of the time you're going to be taking an Assault Intercessor Sergeant, and you're going to take the Plasma Pistol and Chainsword. Very occasionally, you might want to swap out to be taking the Power Fist, so that you can kill things in one hit, your mortals that have 7 wounds. But in general, nah, you can just take a Plasma Pistol and Chainsword. The only difference to not taking the power weapon there is if you really want to get into melee with anything that has 10 wounds. So for example, commandos, they have 10 wounds, but they also have just a scratch, so it's not as reliable. But more specifically thinking of Hunter Clade, if you've got a lot of Hunter Clade in your meta, these guys can take out the infiltrators. We then get a mix of warriors and a mix of weapons. Now, this to me is kind of the big thing when a new player is looking. They're trying to think, oh, do I want to go? The Assault Intercessor, okay, they just have one loadout, fine. But when you get to the Intercessor, actually they have 3 options. Let me break this down for you. If you love yourself some Intercessors, never take the Stalker Bolt Rifle. It's never a good option. The Bolt Rifle is the worst of the options, unless you put enough equipment on that particular weapon to make it the better weapon. Otherwise, your default is the Auto Bolt Rifle. There you go. That was easy, wasn't it? There you go. However, with that said, generally, the Assault Intercessors are going to be your bread and butter. You're only putting in an Intercessor if you have a specific plan for it. There you go. Grenadier or Gunner, yes, so take both of those. Always take those. Those are the 2 auto-includes. You will always take a Grenadier and a Gunner. There's often something said about the Grenadier these days, because we have the grenade FAQ nerf thing, where if you take a Grenadier, they take up both of your grenade slots. But this team has such good equipment, you are more than happy to just get those free points so that you can spend your equipment points on something else. Okay, let's get into the data sheets. These are the normal guys, not the leaders. How weird of me to do that first. So here are the Assault Intercessors. They are standard, 14 wounds, APL 3, 3 up saves. That's pretty much what you'd expect, and that's what the whole of this team is going to be, apart from the leaders, that will be 15 wounds. Note, big thing here is, of course, that your Shock Assault, which is what you would have Compendium, the special ability that used to cost a CP to let you fight twice, now you just get it baked into your data sheet, which is really nice. And certainly you have 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 4, 5. That's a really strong weapon. You can pretty much chew up most things in the game with just a regular Assault Intercessor. Obviously, if you're going into something else that is a melee specialist, you might not get the kill one time. But good news, you have 14 wounds and 2 fight actions, so you'll get the kill the next time. Boom. Really, really strong. I already covered the Grenadier and why you would take a Grenadier, and it's an auto take due to the good equipment. Won't go over that again, otherwise he's identical. Do keep in mind, minor note, if you're used to Compendium and you're just coming over to the Specialist team, notice that both Shock Assault and, when we get to it, Bolted Discipline are slightly different. In the past, in the Compendium, it used to say for Shock Assault that you could only fight twice if you did not shoot. Now, that is no longer a stipulation. You can fight and shoot, or you can fight twice and shoot once. It's all good. We now go over to the Intercessor Warrior and the Intercessor Gunner. So I've already discussed kind of why you should go with the Auto Bolt Rifle. It's pretty simple stuff. The Ceaseless is just a better thing to have than P1. If you don't want to be thinking about a big roster where you can tailor, if you're looking for that take all comers, Ceaseless is better than P1. Because of course P1, you have to roll a 6, which means it doesn't always happen, whereas Ceaseless is technically always in effect. And also you don't always need AP on your weapon. There you go. Stalker Bolt Rifle, AP1 to have default is nice. Heavy is just such a negative, and there's no way to remove it through equipment. Even if you have a good sniper's nest, things happen when you engage in combat, in fighting, in war with the enemy. At some point, you might need that Stalker Bolt Rifle to leave its sniper nest, and then you're losing a shot, which you kind of can't do when you've only got 6 models. Don't get me wrong, I think this team is very strong, but it's strong because you're so efficient. If you remove one of your models for a turn, yeah. And the Gunner, just really good. You would always take this. It's just you get an auxiliary grenade launcher. Note that it can't be used for Overwatch, but also, thanks to the way Bolted Discipline is now worded, similar to how the assault version was worded for the assault intercessor, you could just perform 2 shoot actions, and only one of them has to be with a bolt weapon. So you can shoot your auxiliary grenade launcher, and then you can shoot your bolt rifle if you want to do that. So really strong. We then get to the sergeants. There's obviously they have quite a few weapon options. I kind of already talked about them. I probably should have talked about them now instead of at the take all comers bit. Regardless, you're pretty much always going to go with the assault intercessor sergeant here, and your only real options are plasma pistol and chainsword, or power fist and heavy bolt pistol, or heavy bolt pistol and power weapon, depending on the points values of who you're fighting. There you go. Again, already discussed at the start. Would you ever take the intercessor sergeant? Honestly, probably not. The only time I would say no is if for some reason you don't want to be in melee, but you do. Yep, there you go. Maybe you take it if you're going into legionary and you're afraid that legionary will kill your leader, because they very well may do. That's kind of the only time. Let's talk about the defining trait, the ability, the chapter tactics for the Intercession squad. Now these are super cool. These allow you to customize your guys, make them your own. This is similar to kind of putting the marks of chaos onto legionary. Well, here it's quite nice and open. So from a fun, fluffy, thematic sort of way, they haven't said chapter tactic Space Wolf, chapter tactic Blood Angel. They've said, hey, if your chapter is aggressive and durable, these are the ones for you. So really like it thematically, really like it from a fluff perspective. Let's just get one thing clear though. The way this works is when you create your roster, so you're applying this to your entire roster, not to each individual model. And you can't have like one team that's all 2 of the traits and then another 6 models on your roster that is another 2 of the traits. So it's purely just your roster has 2 of these traits attached to it. I'm not going to read through all of these, but basically your absolute best picks are going to be you have 3 options, really. Don't get me wrong, to be clear, these are all good. There isn't really a wrong pick apart from Deadly Sharpshooter. That's a wrong pick, don't take that. Everything else, at some point in the game, it will probably come in handy. However, your absolute best default options is durable and rapid. Durable is critical hits inflict 1 less damage on this operative. Rapid is add black 1-inch triangle to this operative's movement characteristic. Honestly, these 2 things, durable is going to work out, depending on what you're shot by of course, to be roughly an extra 2 to 3 health, maybe even 4 health depending on what you're being shot with. So that's really good, and I think we can immediately see why it's better than unyielding. And you could say, well, you know what, I get killed a lot, so actually I want to go unyielding and durable. Why aren't we doing that? The reason for that is something we're about to talk about, and it's because if you go rapid instead, it gives you access to going into dueler or aggressive with one of your tac ops at another time. There is another possibility, kind of another one that is vaguely interesting, which is Raider. The way Raider works, because there's been a little bit of discussion about it, so let me just clear that up for you. Raider, when I first read it, I thought, oh, that's super cool. Okay, so what it lets you do is you charge into someone, kill. Maybe you don't get to get the kill, but then the next activation, you're still in melee with them, but you've done what you needed to do. You then want to slingshot yourself out of melee with that guy and get right into the back line, right into the town sniper nest, right into the Drakari blaster, whatever it is. That isn't how Raider works. Just to be clear, Raider works very simply as you can make a charge into melee, and then when you are in melee, you can charge, but unless there is another friendly model also in melee, your charge cannot leave the enemy's engagement range. There you go. So just keep that in mind. So, yeah. A lot of people think that it just lets you slingshot all around the board. which would be insane. Absolutely insane. Like, it would probably be, well, first, second, or third best tac op as it is, or ability, chapter tactic as it is. It's probably, to be honest, the fourth best still. Like, it's still very usable. Like, in general, you are going to be running in with all of your assault intercessors and teaming up on guys, so you'll still be able to use it, I'm sure. It's just not as easily. We then go on to the tac ops. They have Shock and Awe, Champion of Mankind, and Indomitable Superiority. Shock and Awe. Let me read this to you. Other teams already have an identical version of this. This is, at the end of any turning point, if friendly operatives control one or more objective markers that were controlled by enemy operatives at the start of the turning point, you score 1 VP, and then for a second VP, do it again. This, to me, as a beginner, is an auto take. As soon as I see this, I know 100%, unless I just get wiped off the board turn 1, that I can get 1 VP from this. Definitely. And considering how killy these guys are, and how totally viable going for assault intercessors is, I think this would be easy enough to get a consistent 2 VP from, but it's a guaranteed 1 VP. So really good. Basically, to put that into normal terms, into the layman's words for you, if an enemy is on the point and you run on and kill them, and then it's you on the point, you get a VP. Right? That's really easy. You're going to be doing that. If you don't manage that, things have gone horribly wrong. We then go over to ploys. Now, it seems like there's a lot here, but actually, this is a beginner team, so it's actually very simple. Devastator Doctrine, Tactical Doctrine, and Assault Doctrine are all the same. You get a reroll for your attack dice, whether that be shooting or melee. And then, if you don't know, this is just termed this way because it follows 40k, where you do have access to these different doctrines, and they change how your army work. But in this, it is just you get a reroll 1 dice. Devastator Doctrine is the long range, Tactical Doctrine is the short range, Assault Doctrine is in melee. This is for Devastator Doctrine, if you're over 6 inches, you get the reroll. For Tactical Doctrine, if you're within 6 inches, you get the reroll. Assault Doctrine is if you're in melee, after you've charged, you get the reroll. Really good. This also leans into why you're probably going to want to run in kind of Assault Intercessor heavy or regular long range Intercessor heavy. Tactical Doctrine, I would say, is a bit of a damp squib on this one. I think Assault and Devastator are going to be where it's at. You then have, and they shall know no fear. So the reason this is so good with this team is because you have 14 wounds, and if you have durable, like, you're going to be able to hang around for a long time while still being injured, and this lets you stop that. Also, I would say that none of these are like you play this every turn. You don't have any of those. I would say that when you know you're going to get those charges in, so probably turn 2, pop Assault Doctrine. That's an easy choice. And then once you've got 1 or 2 injured guys, and they shall know no fear, that's an easy choice. But turn 1, you genuinely probably aren't popping anything. And if the enemy plays cagey, and you're not going to get charges, you don't need to pop anything turn 2 either. We then go over to some interesting things over here. Adaptive tactics is what I talked about when it comes to the chapter tactics. So this is the reason to consider picking one of your chapter tactics from a different category. This is, you can use it once at the start of the battle. You can change one of your chapter tactics to something else within the same category. So for example, if you don't need the extra movement for whatever reason, because maybe you're playing against a very melee focused enemy as well, so you know they're going to be in range because they're coming to you too. Maybe you want to go with duelist, which is really going to help you out there. We then go over to, I don't know, you're probably not going to use the others that much. You don't, yeah, I mean, they're still good. They still have a place, but that's kind of the main one to know. I would say, in addition, Angel of Death, this is Fight on Death. Really good, really good. This is going to let you run in, know you're going to die, but also know that you're going to get a kill, 100%. And then Wrath of Vengeance is basically kind of the same. Run in, die, shoot. Although, sorry, I was thinking of Wrath of Vengeance. Angel of Death isn't that at all. I apologize. Angel of Death is actually, once the firefight phase is done, fight again. Still super good. Completely different to what I said, but still very, very good. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to do this from memory without reading. That's why I'm getting these wrong. So I studied up a little bit just before I started. And, apparently this is as far as I got. But then go over to equipment. They have really good equipment. However, you're basically, because you take the Grenadier, you're not going to be spending that 5 EP on a crack and a frag. Cool. Combat Blade is 1 EP and it's filler. You're never going to be building your list around, I know I'm going to take this Combat Blade. You then get a Vengeance class scope, which gives you lethal 5 up if you take a bolt rifle or a stalker bolt rifle. This is the reason that your Intercessor dude goes with a bolt rifle instead of an auto bolt rifle. You put this on your one regular Intercessor. You then also give him the Reclusium Blessed Bolts. This is taking up to 6 EP spent now. Add 1 to both damage characteristics of that weapon for the battle. This is giving you a heavy bolter, essentially, with lethal 5 up. It's just super good. And then on one of your regular assault intercessors, you put a tilting shield, which is each time this operative fights in combat in the roll attack dice step of that combat, your opponent cannot retain attack dice results of less than 6 as critical hits. Now this is super interesting because obviously you hear that, you're thinking, okay, lethal 5 up doesn't happen, but also rending, which kind of implies that any other way you get a crit, maybe there are some, I can't think, none off the top of my head, isn't actually counted as getting a crit, like as rolling a 6. It's just becoming a crit, which this stops. That's pretty cool. Purity Seal is a CP reroll for 3 EP. In Compendium, this was a solid take. Now, you'd be crazy to take it. Everything else is too good. Allspecs Plus is an interesting one. It is definitively 100% better than the Phobos version of Allspecs on the Voxbreaker, but it's up against Tilting Shields, Reclusium Blessed Bolts, and Vengeance Class Scope. So don't take it. I say don't take it. If you want to take it, take it. It's good. It's not bad. And then with so that will be a Scope, Blessed Bolts, Tilting Shield, that's 9 EP, Combat Blade, throw that on one of your 2 Intercessors. Nice. Okay. Boom. That's the team done. Wow, that still took 22 minutes. I genuinely tried to go through that as fast as I could. Hopefully, now on screen, when you see this list, I'll go through it again quickly, you understand why I've said this is the take-all-comer. You do not have to run the team this way. Flexibility is still good. Genuinely, I think there is a lot of legitimacy in going all assault intercessors. As long as you keep in mind that when I say all assault intercessors, what I mean is 5 assault intercessors and then a gunner, because you're always taking the gunner, okay? Yeah, so assault intercessor sergeant with plasma. Plasma's always good, and you still have a chainsword hitting on 2s. Amazing. 2 assault intercessor warriors. 1 has a tilting shield, because why not? You could put the tilting shield on the sergeant, that is an option, or even the assault intercessor grenadier. They can all take the tilting shield. I just don't the reason to put it on a regular guy is to spread your threats. So if you have, let's say, the sergeant, and you've given him the tilting shield, then that sergeant's definitely getting shot. They are going to hunt that sergeant to kill it before it closes in melee. I'm not saying the tilting shield swings that, but at least you've put something a little bit good on another model, so when they're off hunting the distraction con effects of the assault intercessor sergeant, you've still got a dude with a few tricks up his sleeve coming at them from another angle. Grenadier, always take. Intercessor gunner, always take. Amazing. Intercessor warrior with a bolt rifle, scope, blessed rounds. Now, if you do not want to give him the scope and the blessed rounds, which is fine, I would probably say, for some reason, if you don't want to do that, if you want to spend your EP elsewhere, just take another Assault Intercessor, and instead of taking Scope and Blessed Rounds, take more tilting shields. There you go. Chapter Tactics, durable and rapid, we talk about that. +1 inch to your movement, and ignoring the critical damage on things, really good. Tac Ops, Seek and Destroy, Shock and Awe. We didn't really talk about why Seek and Destroy. Just, honestly, you're going to kill a lot of things. Yeah, there you go. Just really good. Oh, I feel I have to just quickly say, I realised the way I worded durable there, that's not what it does. It just lowers the damage by 1 on critical hits. It doesn't ignore critical hit damage. Somebody was going to call me out on that. Okay. And that's it. There you go. That is the team. That is a Take All Comers list. But also, I think it's going to be really nice and fun for people to go ahead and fill out a roster of this stuff. Yeah. Which brings us over to hobby time. So it's possible to build yourself a 1-box kill team out of this. You don't get all the options, okay? I understand. It's a shame, but it is what it is. This is done purely from a budget perspective. This is not going to give you the Take All Comers list, but it will give you any combination you want of regular guy. So it's intercessors, assault intercessors, and a gunner. If you have some bits lying around, you could easily make one of your assault intercessors a grenadier. And if you look on screen there is a sword brethren. I'm pretty sure he would very easily be converted to being your assault intercessor sergeant with power sword if you wanted to take that instead of the plasma pistol. There you go. The kit might even come with a plasma pistol. I actually can't remember. And then a final thing for me personally, as you can tell, I've been showing off my Crusade squad on screen throughout this entire presentation because I painted them ages ago for my 40k army as Tome Keepers. I created this scheme before Tome Keepers, but it turns out this is just a generally good color scheme because it's so easy to do. And so then White Dwarf used it too. There you go. There you go. But now that I've seen that, I'm like, actually, you know what? Yeah, they're Tome Keepers. Cool. And then we go into my own personal interests when it comes to the hobby. This is what I'd like to do. Don't get me wrong. The intercessors, they're lovely models. But you know what I want to do? I want to make them chunky. I don't think that the current intercessors really exude and ooze a miasma of, look at me, I'm 14 wounds. So you know what I want to do? I want to do, what are these guys called? I want to do just big guys. So both of these guys, the heavy intercessors and the sword brethren squad, they have lots of options. So I'll be able to build whatever loadouts I want. They look just super cool. And probably some other things too, I guess. Oh, that's the thing I wanted to note. They are all on 40mm bases. So what I would do is I drop them to 32 so that they would be legal in kill team. And then if I ever wanted to play them in 40k, I would just put those 32mm bases on top of a 40mm base. Done. There you go. Yeah. I think that the heavy intercessors have a really great imposing presence, especially some of their shooting models, because obviously that's what the intercessors would be doing. And then I think that the sword brethren models have some nice dynamic poses while still being much bigger and beefier and chunkier than a regular intercessor. And you know what? I just love capes and cloaks on power armor. So yeah. So you'll still get that dynamic movement, which you don't quite get with the heavy intercessors. Ooh. 30 minutes. Wow, how about that? Well, you know what? If you made it to the end of the video, I'd like to give you a big triple hello. Wow. Who saw that coming? That came out of nowhere, didn't it, guys? What a shocker, but also a wholesome shocker. If you've made it to the end of the video, very genuinely, thank you so much. Nothing supports a small YouTuber like me more than just watching the videos. If you could also spare a moment to give a like, subscribe, a comment, that'd be awesome. And as previously mentioned, merch, Vantage Point podcast, second channel called Full Scale Wargaming, Discord server, and if you really are into whatever is going on here, you know, this parasocial relationship we're building up, consider supporting me on Patreon. I do give a few benefits over there. It's currently being revamped, as I hope to do a little bit more in it, but I've just moved house, so I'm a little bit swamped with real life at the moment, but something will be coming over there at some point. And that's it, everybody. I'd like to thank you so much, and I'd like to say, hey, intercessors, nice. That's not what I was going to say. What I want to say is, I hope you've had a good day and continue to have a good day. Goodbye.